So this week I thought we would add some broccoli to our produce market. It's a pretty easy project. It's a lot of fun. And one of the reasons I chose to do this week was because we're using that wire mesh strainer again that we used last week for the corn. This week we're using it to make the tops of the broccoli. So join me and see how easy this is to make. Right, so the first step in making broccoli is, like with a lot of food items, is to really look at some broccoli. So I brought home a little thing of broccoli here from the grocery store the other day, and it shows me a couple of things. It gives me a good color. You know, I can look at this and I can see what color I need. I can look at it and see the shape I need. Now obviously we're going to simplify the shape. I'm going to leave off the little leafy parts. And I'm not going to put as many little pieces inside. But it gives me a starting place. And I can kind of look at this and say, okay, I'm going to take this part and this part. So the first obvious thing, we need to pick a color of clay. So I had a process. I went through all my green polymer clay and I pulled all of them and I baked off samples. This is one of the advantages to using paper plates to bake on. I dipped each little wad of clay into some TLS and I stuck it to the paper plate and I baked it off so I could find exactly what colors I had that were the closest to what I wanted. And I found I had to mix. I ended up mixing Sculpey 3 moss with white to get this color here. And I like to bake them off because here's the moss color green. And it changes when you bake it. It gets darker. So when I mixed in the white with it, it looks really good. There'll be more about that little test and how I do this and why on the blog. So be sure and check out the link to the blog about the broccoli project in the description box. And I'll tell you more about this little trick. But let's put this off to the side. So I mixed my Sculpey 3 moss green and some white. I just use Fimo white, and I got this color. Now, normally I don't use Sculpey 3, but another thing that we need for this project, we need our clay to be soft. Because of the way we're making the tops of our broccoli in the next step, we need to have a fairly soft clay. That also means our clay is going to be very sticky, and it's going to want to stick to our fingers. Unfortunately, we can't put cornstarch on our fingers for this project because we need the clay to stick together. So let's start by making those bottoms to those to some broccoli. To do that, let's cut off a small piece, probably even smaller than that. We just want some pretty thin snakes of clay. And you want it pretty thin. You don't want very thick, but you also don't want it to all be the same thickness either. And I'm going to cut off, I like to do 3 little pieces of this snake per piece of broccoli. So I pick up 2 and I kind of stick them together and I kind of bend the tops out. I'm only sticking them together at the bottom. Now let's get a 3rd one in there. This one's a little bit bigger so you can see the detail than what I would do for 1/12 scale. This would be an awfully big piece of broccoli. But that's basically all we do. And then this is really important to bake these on a paper plate, because the paper plate will prevent us from having a shiny flat spot on the bottom. So let's do, and this clay is so soft, it just strings out all over the place. But that's okay. Just be patient. And this will take some practice, okay? And if you need to later, you can always trim these after they've baked off. So, get the first one on your finger and kind of put that up there. And you can put anywhere from 3 or even 2 to 5 in each of these little bundles. And it's okay if they don't all stick up to the top. Let's do some pretty skinny ones here. Just kind of stick the ends together. Use your fingers. Your fingers are your best tool here. So we'll just stick these together, kind of roll them between your fingers to adhere the bottom, and so that it looks like it all grows out. Just like that. Let's see, can I get closer? Oops, wrong way. See? We've got a little broccoli stem. Let's see if I can do some more. Normally 3 seems to work the best for me. It's hard, you can put 5 together, and it's nice to have a few like that, but it's hard to get 5 of them together and have them look right. And just kind of twist. And, oops, where's the camera? And there we go. Let's do that again and see if I can watch on the camera and make sure I'm actually getting that in the frame. It's really hard for me to do this and make sure I'm getting it in the frame for you. Okay. And there we go. So I'll make a few more pieces like this and I'll bake them off. And these bake according to your clay instructions. If you're mixing 2 brands of clay, check both brands and use whichever is the lowest temperature. And these will only need about 5 minutes. We are going to bake them again when we get the top part on. Alright, so I've baked off our broccoli stems. I've got our bigger one I did first so that you can kind of see what we're doing, and then the smaller ones that are more to scale. For the next step, we need our same green clay. And what I've done is I've rolled a ball for each stem. This is the one for the bigger ones, and this is for the smaller ones. You'll see why in a minute. We also have some green chalk, and I've got 2 different colors of darker green chalk. Whatever dark green colors you have is fine. You'll need your clay knife. You'll need a pokey tool. Let's see, I want to put these little balls of clay right here so that I can get this tile. And this tile has some TLS on it. This is the same tile I used last week. I've still had the TLS out here. This is because I'm using a lot of the TLS, or translucent liquid Sculpey. And if I put it on a dark green tile, I notice it and I don't set things down into it. So it keeps it safer for me. When I'm done, I'll just throw this whole tile in the oven, bake it off, and then I can pop off what's left of my TLS. I waste a lot less this way than if I try to get it out each time I'm working. And our other tool we're using, we need our brush. Here's my brush for my chalk. This one. A chalk brush. And remember, I just use a Dollar Tree eyeshadow brush for that. And we need our wire strainer again. But this time we're using it differently. Now again, I'm going to start with the big one, and then I'll zoom in on the smaller ones. So set it with the stem up. I'll take my bigger ball of clay, and these are just, you know, about the size, I don't know, of a pea. You'll have to play around a little bit. Take the clay, put it inside the strainer, and push up with your finger until it pops up like that. And you also need wet wipes. You're going to need a wet wipe right around here because this is going to get pretty messy. Now, whatever dark green you've got in your chalk, and just paint the tops. Because if you remember, on our broccoli, let's see if I can get my broccoli here. It's off to the side without getting anything icky on it. Our broccoli, it's the light green of the stems on the bottom, and it's just the color. It's just on the very outside. So that's what we're trying to do here with our clay. So now, blade. Take my blade and cut this off very carefully, right as close to the mesh as you can. Pop it down the palm of your hand and take this, it's covered now in TLS, and there you go. You've got broccoli. So let's come in closer and we'll do it again. Let's take a little tiny stem and put that in the TLS. If I stand it in the TLS, then I know where it's at. That's the only reason I do that ahead. I put it there and that way I know where it's at. Put this in here and push up. Oops. Fingers are... Okay, that one I'm going to have to start over because that time it stuck to my fingers. Okay, pull it around. Pull your finger off the bottom. It's okay if it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. Upside down in my hand. I've got the chalk side facing the palm of my hand. This. And I don't need that extra. And that in there. That TLS will hold the broccoli together. So let's take another one of these. Set it over here on my tile of TLS. Another ball of clay. Find a clean spot on the strainer. Push up. Kind of pull your fingers. You're going to have to kind of scrape your finger along the bottom of the wire to get it off. This clay is very, very soft and very, very sticky. And you could use a brighter green too. Now if you wanted to make cooked broccoli, instead of this really pale green, you just match a little bit of cooked broccoli, probably like an apple green or maybe even a plain green Fimo would work, or Sculpey 3. And sometimes these fall apart, that's okay. Just kind of put them back together, drop it in your hand. There's the camera. It's sticking to my fingers. Come on, off my fingers. You can tell I've been working with clay a lot because my fingers are getting very sticky today with clay. And there we go. And if they're not perfect, those can be in the bottom of the box or container of broccoli. If you're doing cooked broccoli, you might want to make them a little bit smaller, or maybe even just, you know, start with smaller balls and smaller little sticks. Let's see if I can do this again. Put another one in there. Push up. Pull away. Green chalk. And sometimes if it looks like it's going to fall apart, you can kind of put it back together there. Cut it off with the strainer. And as you're cutting it off, it should kind of mush together a little bit, but it doesn't always. And this is actually a little bit easier when you're not doing it in front of the camera, because then you can put it where you can actually see what you're doing. There. And there we go again. So I will finish these up and then I'll show you the finished product. Well, here's our finished broccoli. This is the oversized piece that I made first to show you how to do it. This is probably pretty close to Barbie size. This would easily be made Barbie size too. Here's the rest of the broccoli I've been working on today, and I'll have to make a few more pieces to fill my basket because this is not quite full yet. But I think this is a fun project. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure and check the link below for the blog, because there'll be a blog associated with this video. And check out the Facebook page. If you haven't found us on Facebook, be sure and do that. I'd love to see pictures of what you're doing. I'd love to have you put some pictures there on the wall on Facebook. So until next time, have fun with those minis. Bye.